Request for evidence. Request for evidence, and this is a little bit more, this is a 2-slide part, to be honest, because requests for evidence are confusing, but they are critical. The USCIS officer does not have enough information to decide on the case. A simple request for evidence would be a different type of a birth certificate, a different type of degree, a new or an expired passport, etc. So let me go over those for a second so I can explain them to you. Okay, and by the way, guys, if you guys have any questions whatsoever, put them in the Q&A, and as I go, I will try to respond, okay? If not, I'll address them all at the end. I'll be more than happy to. So simple request, different type of birth certificate. There is something called the visa reciprocity table, and every single country, we have a list with the Department of State that says, for this specific country, this is the way the birth certificate needs to look, and it needs to be issued by this specific authority, it needs to have this specific stamp, it needs to be red, gold, whatever it needs to be. And the one you submitted doesn't. In certain countries, it could be just a simple statement from the priest. It really depends. Sometimes it's an issue when the countries change. Burma, Myanmar, Zimbabwe, former countries that have other names, former Yugoslavia, USSR, those are typically it. And generally countries where we have tribal issues and religious ceremonies only that are not civil in nature and they don't need to be recorded. Every single place is different. Do not take this lightly. Not having the proper birth certificate and not responding to that, thinking, oh, they just didn't see it and we'll address it at the interview, will cause your case to be denied, okay? A different degree. In some countries, they have a baccalaureate degree, which is a high school degree. Here we have a high school diploma. If you think that the baccalaureate degree, which is very common that people think come from other countries, a baccalaureate degree, it's a 4-year degree, matches here the bachelor's degree simply because they sound the same. It is not. People make that mistake quite a bit, especially when they try to file on their own and they don't realize the educational doesn't match. A new or an unexpired passport. Say you entered the United States 4 years ago and that passport has expired. That expired passport actually proves you entered the country and you entered with a visa, but they also want to see the new passport so they can see your current status. Complicated requests. Valuation of assets, proof of speaking English, credit reports, proof of health insurance, other medical documents, proof of good faith marriage, proof that the child lives together with the petitioner. These are very important. The last one actually is very new. Well, it was applicable to Cuban Adjustment Act for a long time. It's applicable now to almost everything. So that has changed. Valuation of assets and proof of speaking English, credit reports, health insurance, and medical, those go towards proving that the beneficiary, the person who seeks to remain in the United States or seeks to come to the United States, will not become a public charge. Basically, the US taxpayers will not have to foot the bill for any medical or health-related issues, or the person will not get on Medicaid food stamps and so on. They are very common. They are also very expected in most cases. The deadline is 87 days to respond. It will not be extended for any reason whatsoever. No, coronavirus does not extend the deadline to respond to requests for evidence. I will have a note later on the coronavirus thing. I know somebody already asked that question in the Q&A, I saw that. And you must submit all the required evidence in one package or the application will be denied. You cannot send a document out saying, I'm responding to this, but I'm still waiting for a document to come, excuse me, I'm still waiting for a document to come from Finland, and I will submit that when I have it later. It will not work like that. So let's go over some of the questions for now. I want to know if your RFE deadline can be extended given the current situation with COVID-19. We'll address that in a minute. It really depends on the RFE. For the affidavit, do both parties, husband and wife, need to submit one, or is one submission sufficient? Are we talking a third-party affidavit? Are we talking affidavit of support? Are you talking about joint sponsorship? What exactly affidavit are you talking about? If you have document questions, you are a client, because I see your name here. Please call our office. We can answer all of those questions for you. For the birth certificate, does it need to be translated to English? Absolutely. Absolutely, each single document that is not in English must be translated, and the translation needs to be certified by a certified translator. Is it okay to send it in black and white? Yes, it is. It would be a different type of birth certificate since it's not an American birth certificate, correct? Most of the foreigners don't have American birth certificates. That is absolutely correct, but we need to make sure that it matches whatever the visa reciprocity table is. So make sure we get that document and we can go over that. What happens if my lawyer doesn't respond to my RFE and it's of no fault of my own? Well, first you should have a different lawyer. You need to see, that is a lot more complicated. If your lawyer didn't respond, there is a way for a new attorney to be able to maybe, perhaps, recover that application by claiming ineffective assistance of counsel. But let's be careful with that. Let me explain why. The other attorney most likely has enough proof in their files that they communicated with you, that they asked for a bunch of documents, and that they asked repeatedly for those documents and that you didn't supply. The attorney cannot do miracles. If you didn't submit those documents to the attorney or you didn't send them on time, the attorney cannot respond. We are limited to what the documents, what the documents are that we receive from the client. What if you're in another country and you need to do the DNA? I was told that you have to do DNA at US Embassy in your country. It really depends on the country. It really depends what you are doing the DNA for. I am assuming this is a father-son relationship. Usually the mother is not the issue, it's a father-son relationship. And if that is the case, if DNA is requested, they are calling in question the relationship between the father and the son. First, the biological relationship, and then the physical relationship and the emotional relationship with the child. So you would have to do the DNA at the US Embassy, or you would have to do it with a registered lab that is registered with the specific US Embassy. Most of the civil surgeons in those specific countries can help you with that. Give us a call and we can help you navigate that. It's not as easy as you think, because the DNA has to be properly registered and done only by their approved providers, okay? If we receive an RFP asking for additional information not available at the time, certified court documents while the court service is closed to the coronavirus. The RFE issue date is late January, early February, before the courthouse was closed with the deadline coming up. Well, how should we proceed to comply with this request? I will address this in 2 slides. I'm gonna get to that in a minute, okay? And if I didn't address it, please feel free to contact us and I'll talk to you about this, okay? Do not ignore that RFE, you must respond, all right? So we are up to date on the questions for now.